Hey guys, we're back, and this time we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different. This is a older game. It's been around for a while. This is a pretty beat up copy of it, but Khet was originally designed by a college professor and sold under the name Deflexion. I unfortunately don't have a copy of Deflexion, but I do have this original version of Khet here. And it's basically a chess game. I don't know if I can flip this over without dumping everything. It's basically a chess type game with an Egyptian theme using a laser and a series of mirrors to bounce the laser around, and you take out the pieces by shooting them. And despite the pictures on here, the laser isn't actually visible. It's your standard laser pointer type thing. But it'll bounce off these mirrors, and you can bounce off multiple, and the objective is to take out the opponent's pharaoh. And everything is very Egyptian themed. There's pyramids, and the pieces all have names, like this is an obelisk, these are pyramids, this is a Djed here. And it was a lot of fun to figure out the strategies and things involved in it. It became a big thing in the early 2000s. They even had big world championship type things. I think MIT hosted one of the original Deflexion, and then it moved around from there. But anyway, we're going to get in and take a look. So it's a massive box because the board is massive. But we have our rulebook here. It's on really thick, high gloss paper, and it shows you your various components and how to move. It's a very simple game. Every piece can move to any adjacent space, including diagonals, or you can rotate them 90 degrees. The obelisks can stack or unstack on top of each other, and at the end of every turn, you're going to fire your laser. On the back here, they have a couple suggested setups. The standard classic setup here, which I believe is what it sets up as actually in the box. And then you have two others. You can go online and get tons of different options for map designs. And then you have a warning, because this is one of those great old games that uses batteries. So you have your standard warning in there not to mix batteries and whatnot, and how to correctly orient them in. And then underneath, this is actually kind of a cool thing. It uses this styrofoam insert that's all cut out, but underneath you can actually store the game with everything completely set up. And of course, it's all jostled out of place because I flipped the box over, but we'll get this out. The only thing that you couldn't leave was these can't be double stacked, as they would be for the setup when storing it in the box. But let me get it out of here, and then we'll get back to it. So once you have it out of the box, like I said, you have to set all these pieces up. But these are your pyramids, and you can see they're filthy. There's the camera. But these can go in any of four orientations. So when you put it on the board, they can be rotated, and depending on which direction they're rotated, they will reflect the laser a different way. Then you have your obelisk pieces, which in this are just what they say, just an obelisk. And they can stack on top of other obelisks, so when they get shot, rather than being removed, you remove the top one. And that allows you to set up like a defensive wall for your pharaoh. The Djed pieces here are mirrored on both sides. So you can't actually get a shot on these, because no matter what side you hit it on, it's going to bounce off. So they're kind of the only indestructible piece in the game. And they have the cool special ability that not only can they move your standard one space in any direction, when they are adjacent to either a pyramid or an obelisk, they can choose to switch places. And they both keep their normal orientation, they just swap places. And that can be done with friend or foe pieces. So that's kind of a neat aspect to them. But you got to watch, because if you move this one here, it opens up a nice clear path right to your pharaoh. And then last here is your pharaoh piece. And Every turn you're going to either move one of your pieces or you're going to rotate one of your pieces, and then you're going to push your laser button, which is right here. The laser's right here, is built into the board. The only stipulation on movement is that you see these red spaces. There's a strip all the way down here and one up in that corner. And there's a set of silver ones there and one here. The red pieces cannot move onto the silver spaces. These silver pieces cannot move onto the red ones. It's just to prevent stalemates and cheap shots, I think. But anyway, you're going to take your move. You're going to push your button. And you can actually see it on the camera there. This laser's firing here. It's hitting this mirror, this mirror, this mirror, this mirror. And it ends up on this side. This has a raised lip all the way around the outside. So you can actually see the laser hit that side when I push the button here. And if you were to adjust, say we're going to flip this mirror like this. Now you can see it hit right here. So ideally, you're going to mess with these. You're going to move. Let's say we'll put a guy here, and then this gets here throughout the course of the game. And you fire, and I don't know if you can't really see that on camera too much because it's blocking it. Just the edge of it there. You can see just on the side of this pyramid. Now it's going here. It's bouncing off these, bouncing off this, and hitting the pharaoh down there. Let me see if I can move it back one so it's a little more visible. There you go. Now you can see it. That's how you know you've hit the various pharaoh. I'm not sure the orientation, how these go back, but overall it's a really interesting and fun strategy game. It's a very thinking game because if you hit any of the pieces on a side, like say this is here, you hit it on the back side, even if it's your own laser, this piece is destroyed and removed from play. And the idea is to eliminate your opponent's pieces to the point that they can't stop you from hitting the pharaoh anymore. And you're going to slowly whittle down over time. But at the same time, you have to pay attention to where your laser is going and what it's bouncing off of, as well as where theirs is going and what theirs is bouncing off of, because they have one on their side too that's going to fire at the end of every one of their turns. And you could inadvertently move. Let's see, we have this here. You could inadvertently move a piece, say this guy to here, and suddenly this laser is now shooting my own guy, which you probably can't see on the camera, but the beam's coming here, 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 off to that, hitting my pharaoh. So you really have to pay attention, because what you do might not, you know, the things that you do might trigger other actions down the line that you're not sure about what's going on. And moving a single piece, you might move a piece and it might seem like it's doing nothing, and then they get a piece down here and they rotate this, you know, and you're like, what is that going to do? And then this moves out of the way. Now suddenly that beam is coming and it's hitting this guy here because it's bouncing off of yours, and so on. So there's a lot of thinking in placement and movement of the pieces, and I really enjoy it. I actually think when it comes down to it, I would prefer Khet over chess. And I think there's more strategy to it. While all the pieces can only move a single space at a time, it's a lot of thinking 5 moves ahead. If I do this, if I move this here, rotate it that way. And then trying to set up things that your opponent doesn't see, so that if they move a specific piece, they screw themselves over. Or if they take a piece of yours, you might put one out officially to sacrifice it just to get them to do something. Like a real simple right off the bat is if somehow this piece were to get eliminated and it isn't there, if you can convince them to move this out of the way, that's a kill shot right there. Things like that. So they have to pay attention to everything that's going on the board and the results of every move you make to think 3 steps ahead, basically. And it's a lot of fun. Overall, though, I definitely love Khet. I think it's one of the great strategy games out there. Tactics, strategy, whatever you want to classify it as. I was glad to see that it got re-implemented into a new, more updated version in Khet 2.0. And I'll be doing a video on that soon. As well as the newest edition of it, which is a sci-fi re-theme of it, which I really like too, and I'll be doing a video on that soon. It's actually what got me to do this video and just go right down the line. I wish I had the original Deflexion to do a video on, but I do not. So we're going to go over each one, and I'll do the differences and tell you what I like and what I don't like about them. And obviously the big dislike of this one is how absolutely massive it is. You can't really get a feel for it on camera here, but this is probably an 18-inch long board, maybe 18 by 12, and it's solid. There's no way to condense it or fold it. So this box, when you try to take it somewhere, is absolutely massive. I can't even get it all on camera. And it's rough like that. The good thing about the box, though, is that you can actually have the entire game set up in the box. And if you go to travel somewhere, you can leave the foam out and just leave it right like that. Shut the box up. And as long as you don't jostle it around too much, it'll be good to go wherever you go. If you have everything in the original orientation here, you have to unstack these, unfortunately, because they won't fit double stacked. But other than that, you can take the box and it will fit right on top perfectly. You can put your manuals back in. And she closes right up for storage and shipping. It is a massive box though, and I think the newer versions are probably half the size, I want to say. So there's that to look forward to, but if you can find the old version of the game, it's still a perfectly fun and playable game. The perk of the older version here is that it takes AAA batteries, which are easy to get, easy to replace if the lasers ever die on you. Underneath the board, there's a little battery case. You just pop it open, slap in some new batteries, and you're good to go. The newer versions have the lasers as an actual piece. They're not incorporated into the board. And to compensate for that, they take little watch batteries. And while they do last forever, when they do run out, they're a little bit more expensive to replace. And you need a screwdriver to take the pieces apart and things like that to replace them. So keep that in mind. This original version does have 2 expansions, which I do not have, which I wish I did. The first is the Eye of Horus, which is a piece that looks similar to the Djed's, except that instead of a mirror, they have a prism in there. And when the laser hits it, it actually splits in 2 and goes off in the 2 opposite directions. And you get one of those for each side. It comes with a bunch of new map layouts and things. That is an interesting addition to the game. I do want to get my hands on one of those. I've been trying to track one down for a while, but they're pretty pricey because this game's been out of print for several years. The second one is called the Tower of Kadesh, and it's a big piece that mounts in the middle of the board here, and it actually raises up and has a separate platform up here. And it's really hard to describe without actually seeing it. I'll stick a picture in here. But it has mirrors based at the bottom and at the top, and the laser can enter the bottom, reflect up, and come out at the top. And there's a platform up there to move pieces around, as well as I believe the entire tower itself can move around. I've never actually played with that piece personally, so I'm not sure what all it entails, but it looks interesting. And again, it's out of print and hard to find, so I haven't been able to get my hands on it, but I will keep trying because I do want to try it at some point. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our look at Khet, and stay tuned for the videos for the Khet 2.0 and the newest version of that, Laser Chess, which will be coming later on the channel. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.